can do the little bit of ASMR Easter egg now if you want to unwrap said chocolate. Oh, here we go.
Oh, ASMR.
Yum.
Oh. How do you get the fancy chocolate and we have to get the...
This
is ASMR.
Yum. That is my audition to work at Lint. Thank you.
There we go. Superb.
Shall I get that packet now so I can show you?
Oh, wait, have we got different chocolate?
Aye, don't go into it. Let's.
Should we have pre-poured our drams?
Probably better to.
Do we have the same drams?
To hold your water. Hold. Oh, we're getting an ASMR offer. No. Oof. Wow. That was a violent record. That was an end of year. That was an end of year record. You're done. 5, 4, 3, 1. Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to the end of year special, otherwise known as the Chocolate One. Today we're joined by Roy, Gordon, Jen, and Rachel. Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
I'm stealing a Grail there. Hello. How are we all? How are we doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I am grand. All the better for seeing you all with working mics and webcams. We can see Rachel. Yeah. Fingers crossed. This goes well. Pleasure to see you all. Jen, Rachel, especially a pleasure to see you guys.
Thanks very much.
Sorry. I see.
Sorry, I know where I stand. It's fine.
We see you often enough. Enough. Some might say too much, too often.
I think so.
Is there ever such a thing of a good thing?
You ask my wife, and you'll get the truth.
What is it Mark Twain said about whiskey?
It's good.
Too much
of anything is bad. Too much good whiskey is barely enough. Something along those lines.
Something like that. We can
Or
post
at least it's accredited to him.
Aye. All good. Well, it's a pleasure to see everyone. This should be a fun episode. This is on the back of a previous episode where we left cheese out for a full 2 weeks and tried to do a cheese pairing with whiskey. Complete amateur hour. But there was a little murmur of, let's do one with chocolate. Let's see what happens with chocolate. That's not uncommon. So it got banded around, and I think it's taken about a year to get this together. But we knew, Jen, Rachel, the reactions are always positive when you're on the pod. So we knew we wanted to do it with you guys and round off the year on a high. I think I would typically ask what's in your glass, but what I'll maybe do is just ask what you're pre-gaming on, or what have you got a calibration dram poured?
No, but I could.
Rachel.
No, but I could.
No, that's fine. In that case, of the three, what are you going to sample first that are in front of you?
Well, I had thought that it would be in order of what we were sent, so I was expecting to try my bourbon matured whiskey first, which I've gone very boring and gone for a Deanston 12.
Aye, there we
faithful.
go.
So I've got that.
No, that's good. That's good.
ABV and taste-wise is probably the one that I would put if I was deciding first for a tasting. Then I'd put that first of the three I've got.
Okay, good. Actually, back up a second. I should ask, has anyone participated in a chocolate whiskey pairing before? Hands up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. In that case, Jen, you're going to lead this entire podcast from here on out. How's that sound?
How long have you
You're
got?
the doer.
Nah. So wait, did you all participate or lead one?
Both.
Okay. All right. When you were setting them up, what chocolates did you, or like what chocolate groupings did you land on?
Oh Christ, that's what.
Mm.
Oh, we
Orange is
did
always a
one-
good one. I feel like we've always included an orange chocolate, which we haven't tonight, but
No.
that's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
Okay, this is intel I could have done with before the recording. Let's gloss
Sorry.
over that. So orange or zesty or fruity or whatever. I'm assuming a dark and a light chocolate.
Milk chocolate and a dark chocolate usually, yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm trying to stay off milk because as we were setting this up, I was throwing the curveball that you both are vegan. Is that correct?
Yes. But there are
So-
plenty equivalent chocolates.
Yeah.
Aye, so run me through that. So the brief was a milk chocolate or creamy chocolate. Actually, I should back up and completely tell you what you should have. Listener, if you don't have it already, after I deliver this, pause it, go get the chocolate and come back. It would be, we went for Lindt chocolate because it was the most accessible for most all. We chose an extra creamy, a dark at 70%, and a chili, just for a little bit of heat and spice to see what that would throw into the mix. Of course, we're video as well, so we can be showing you what we've got.
That's all right. Just
There's your
cut these in.
70% and a wee bit of the chili, or orange if you're orange inclined. So when we sent that through to you, Jen, Rachel, obviously you needed to pivot. So maybe run us through your chocolates or your chocolate choices.
Well, we both said if we had more time, the first thing we would have done is go to Fetcha Chocolates in Campbelltown and buy them all from her because her stuff is amazing. And I know loads of people who
Okay.
are not vegan who absolutely love her stuff, and everyone should try it. She does all like the Springbank chocolates and stuff. Amazing. So that would have been the top priority. But yeah, I've got other alternatives for recommendations.
Okay, so
want me to go through mine?
if you can traverse the country, go down to Campbelltown and get from who? What was it? What was the supplier?
Fetcha Chocolates.
Fetcha. So go fetch some Fetcha chocolate from Campbelltown,
You can order online.
or order online. There we go.
But I think she's shut at the minute because she sold out of everything. So just before
Fair play.
Christmas. So really
Doing well.
popular.
Good stuff. All right, but then what did you choose? What did you replace with?
So my top choice would have been what Rachel got for her first one, but instead, because I couldn't get it. Oh, I've just pulled my earphone out. Sorry. I've got. I think I call it Nomo, like nom nom nom, but I think it's Nomo. And I got the caramel one instead of the milk one because I prefer it.
Okay.
And then I got the Lindt, the dark, for number 2 because that's got no milk in it. And for the third one, I did a bit of a homemade. I couldn't get any chili. I only had today to get chocolate, so I couldn't get any chili chocolate that didn't have milk in it. So I thirded my Lindt dark one, and I've made 2 versions myself. I don't know how they're going to be. One of them I put chili powder, melted it down, put chili powder and nutmeg in it. And the other one I just did flake chilies and sea salt. And then I very quickly, an hour before we came on, I put them in the melted them down, put them in ice cube trays, put them in the freezer, and then I've just cracked them open before this, so I haven't tried them yet.
Wow. All right. So Jen, we were giving you a hard time pre going live about not pouring drams.
Oh, that's because I was making chocolate.
You've just made your own chocolate. I think completely forgiven.
Thank you.
So, Rachel, what did you make for this podcast?
Nothing. No, I bought all of mine. So the one that Jen was talking about first for the milk one, or milk equivalent, is this one, Vigo, which is delicious, and you can get it lots of places. It's such a good vegan chocolate. I've got a bit of a nutty slant on 2 of mine. So this one's hazelnut and milk chocolate. It's so creamy. I can really recommend this, even if you're not like a dirty vegan. Then this chocolate is delicious.
The packaging almost looks like a curly whirly. The font and everything.
White, definitely.
It almost looks like a curly whirly.
I'll tell you, it's a lot more premium than curly whirly though. And then the other one I've got, which is one you will probably have heard of before, is Tony's chocolate.
Yeah.
So
is that the Dutch stuff?
A dark one with hazelnut.
They're Dutch, are they not?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I know they're all about being more ethical and not forcing
it's
children
American.
into labour.
It's American.
I thought it was American.
Yeah,
Well.
that's two.
So I've got that one, and then I've also got a little craft chocolate producer that is Scottish-based called Schoolyard Chocolate, and they collab with producers in Ghana to get things like chili and cocoa beans. And it sounds delicious, so I've not tried this. This is a chili and pretzel one that I've got for the spicy one.
Chili and okay, good stuff. As you say, Tony's, as you mentioned, Tony's, fun side conversation. I got a Tony's advent calendar this year, and on one of the numbers, to your point, Roy, about them being ethical and so on, in one of the windows there was no chocolate but a QR code, and you were to scan it, and it drove you to a little blurb about fair trade and equality and all chocolate production, which I thought was fantastic. My son didn't enjoy it quite as much.
Right. No chocolate that day.
Yeah, but them's the breaks. Gordon, Roy, you've both got all the same chocolate, correct?
I think so.
I would just like to bring up a wee point here.
Oh.
I've Googled
Dutch.
Tony's. Yeah.
It's Dutch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's two of us wrong.
There's only two things I hate in this world: those that are intolerant of other cultures, and people that use Google to settle arguments.
I said it before Googling. I think you'll find.
I'm joking.
You did.
That was a play on a Austin Powers.
I'll just close that one there. There we go.
All good. So
I have the Lynch stuff.
The boys have got all the same chocolate. Boys, have you all got the same whiskey? I assume so, because it's from a previous recording.
Hi.
Okay.
This one?
All right, good.
From an upcoming recording.
Oh.
An upcoming, we're just like Tarantino with our recording sessions. You get the end of the season at the start. All right, maybe then, Jen, back to you. What drams did you pour to? Again, the brief was ex-bourbon, a sherry, and a peat was the loose groupings.
So I very almost went for a Deanston 12. I went for, instead, Tobermory 12. I was between that and the old Tobermory 10, but the cork broke and I couldn't get it out, so I've abandoned that one for now. So I've gone for the Tobermory 12.
Violently corking them back, Jen.
That's it. And then Rachel's favourite, Glenallachie 12 for the sherry, and a Port Charlotte 10 for the PT.
Great, good stuff.
Cool.
Rachel, so you've got a Deanston for your burbs.
Got a Deanston 12 for my bourbon. I've got this one, which I bought a wee while ago, that I've hardly got any left of. That's Unchartered whiskey, the new kid on the block, which is a Spey whiskey, 7-year-old, that's been finished in quarter sherry casks, and it's banana and like rum raisiny flavours. It's delicious. And cash strength as well. That one's 55.2. And then I've got a Carnmore Kalila, 7-year-old, that's been sometime in some sherry casks as well. A wee bit younger, thought it'd be a bit more smoky. I've not had this one in ages, so I don't know how it will actually pair with the chocolate I've got, but should be tasty anyway.
Great, good stuff. I am most surprised that you didn't bring a Glenallachie to a sherry gunfight.
I'd like to keep people on their toes. I've got one behind me and I did almost do it, but I thought I'd just take a swerve to surprise people.
Fair play.
Will we impress her and hold up all the Glenallachies that we
I feel a bit inadequate now.
Oh, look at your wee thing. Look at your wee thing, Gordon.
What batch
still
is it?
Glenallachie. 10, I think. No, this is a wee back to back.
Batch 6.
Nice.
6. I feel like they keep getting darker, Rachel, eh? Each batch.
Oh, I think he knows his audience, Billy.
I managed, note to self, next time I meet Billy Walker, I have to be sober, because that's twice now I've been 6+ drams in meeting him, and I met him at the Glasgow Whisky Festival. Put my arm around him for a photo and asked, did you actually sell Jack Ma a cask or not that time I was up? And he said, no, I don't sell casks. I thought it was great. So Rachel, you met our hero also, right, at the Glasgow Whisky Festival?
Yeah, I feel like he either doesn't know who I am or sees this lady every year and goes, she's weird. And she takes pictures with me. She has to take a picture with me. He never really talks to me. He's just like, yes, dear. Yes, yes.
If only he knew you're the hardest working unpaid Glenallachie ambassador.
I know. I'll be expecting more from him next year, I'll tell you.
Right. Roy, I'm sure you can get this podcast to him. Let's just send him the link.
I'm joking, Billy, if you're listening, I love you. I'm joking.
Great. All right. Maybe just a quick question around the room. The metaphorical room, the virtual room. For those that have done a podcast, they've done the chocolate tasting before. How do you predict this will go? What chocolate do you think is going to pair the nicest with what before we get into it?
Dark with sherry.
Dark to sherry.
I'm curious about the orange suggestion from Jen and Rachel, though, because we missed that out. It's not part of the lineup tonight. But orange chocolate for me is one of those Brussels sprout type things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've just never loved orange chocolate. And everybody else in the house loves it. Everybody else I know loves orange chocolate. But it would be interesting to try it with whiskey. So that's something for the future. But my prediction would be dark. The 70% cocoa that we have here, I think I'm pretty familiar that seems to suit me in a sherry dram quite well.
Okay. Where do we think milk or the creamier is going to land?
Bourbon typically, but not always. Usually, I feel like that'll go with a bourbon cask.
Okay. And
That'll be middly.
Peat with a bit of spice, or habanero blow your head off, Jen?
I don't know how much chili I've put in mine, so that might be a surprise later on. But I've always found if you have chili and then you drink whiskey, it just makes the whiskey taste more spicy and fiery and hot.
Yep.
So I'm not sure how well that one's going to go, but if anything's going to stand up to that, it'll be Peat. So I was going to go for like a younger peaty whiskey because I always think that works with like sweet things. So like a raspberry chocolate would work really well with that, I think. Like a young peaty with raspberry. But yeah, that's why I went with the Port Charlotte, because it's a little bit like fuller. I think it would stand up to the chili a little bit more.
I've lined these up then, the chocolates up, and I suggest we just maybe go in that order, and then we can decide do we go whiskey to each. But I've got milk, dark, then spice. Feels like the right ascent. How do we do this then, Jen? Do we go through each chocolate with each dram at a time? So we do bourbon with all three chocolate?
Yeah. That's a good question.
I think the chili, well, it depends how much chili is in your chocolate. I would save the chili to the end. A bit like you'd probably save the peat to the end for any tasting.
Okay.
But I don't know. Whenever I've done tastings, you taste the first whiskey with the first chocolate, like simultaneously, and then you move on to the next pairing. But I mean, why not go off?
No, that's a good shout. Let's go paired then. So we're going to say milk to bourbon, dark to the sherry, and chili to the peat. That's fine. So let's just go in that order. No?
Did we find out what whiskies are you guys doing?
Oh, sorry. This is either knowledge you have because the podcast came out before or after, but we did a blend-a-geddon game where we had a bourbon, a sherry, and a peat, and we all blended our own like super blend, and then we all tasted each other's on the episode, or we're going to, again, depending in the order of this. So we did a Glenmorangie, the Glenallachie 10 cask strength, and a Lechaig 10.
Nice, great, awesome.
Which felt to be good accessible representation of all three.
That was probably my favourite podcast recording that we've done. Sorry, I predict that might be my favourite podcast recording.
It's funny, you never know.
It was very, very surprising in my memory.
You never know how sometimes we've come off podcast recordings, we've gone, oh, that was shite, that was flat, that was this, and then it turns out Roy works magic with the editing and turns it into something that we didn't think it would ever be.
No, I think it's difficult. It's difficult to participate in something and then look from the outside to see what it's going to. And always that kind of idea that why would anybody get enjoyment out of just sitting listening to what we're doing right now?
I know,
and
but they do. So, Jen, what do we think? Do we go whiskey first, then chocolate? Chocolate first, then whiskey?
Well, I've already started on the whiskey, so yeah, let's go whiskey first, I guess.
All right, okay. In with our ex-bourbon, Slanger.
Cheers.
Flange.
Followed with a wee creamy chocolate number. Now we're into the ASMR world.
I was going to say my microphone. If it's really loud, I think you're going to hear all my chewing. Sorry.
Everyone, everyone, be quiet for Jen for a second.
You hear that?
Was that your tooth? You might need to go to the dentist.
It's really loud.
Are we doing chocolate in at the same time or after?
I did a wee mouthful of chocolate, get it around the palate, and then quickly followed by a dram.
Okay, here we go.
The Dienson and the Vigo are fantastic together. Can I just say that is
Vigo's
delicious.
That has some nuts in there, right?
It does. It has hazelnuts in it.
What does that do to the whiskey, though?
The hazelnuts.
Well, just your chocolate.
What does the hazelnuts do to the chocolate? I don't know. Make it taste nutty.
There's too many factors involved here.
I already predict I'm going to enjoy this much more than the cheese pairing.
The cheese. I don't feel like. I mean, it doesn't feel like anything's getting in the way at all. It feels like a pairing. It feels like a coming together of beings. Pause. That's good.
How are your pairings going? Because
First of
you all have
I'm
the
loving
same
the
thing.
cream. Yeah, the extra creamy lint is particularly good.
It takes a while to get it going, doesn't it? It's like in what clag is high with the lint thingy bobs, and then
on you go.
And then the Glenmorangie just kind of sits on top, weirdly, strangely.
I suspect that a slightly higher ABV, a creamier, weightier whiskey with a bit more body would work better than the Glenmorangie, I would say. I think that Rachel's probably picked a better one. Jen's probably picked a better one. 46.3, both of theirs, right? A wee bit more to them. So I might be curious to just do that. Grab one of those.
Oh, you should. You should.
If only you had 400 whiskies behind you.
I grab from. I think I've got the Tobermory, but it's been an awful long time since I've had it, so I might go with that. Please hold.
I tell you what I just did that was particularly pleasant was only just let the chocolate melt, so it's still in the mouth. Then add the whiskey, so you're the two together fully.
That's what I did, and it felt like it just kind of sat on top. Weird, yeah.
Do you have anything that's a higher strength?
Me?
That would fit that brief, yeah. Oh, well.
Well.
A little bit. But that's peated, no?
No, sir.
You should go
no peat.
Oh, my bad.
Lint also do vegan as well, or have they just stopped doing the Lint vegan chocolate? Some of the best I've tasted.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Same.
So what's this one?
What's some of the best vegan chocolate?
The Lint stuff.
Oh, they do vegan as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they've just stopped it or if they only did it for last Christmas or something. It was out last Christmas and it was amazing. But I've not seen it for a while.
I think I saw some online, so I think you can get it still some places maybe. I think when Veganuary comes, we'll have a feast.
We'll have more, yep.
And can stock up for the year.
I'd agree now, though. Mixing it while there's still chocolate in the mouth. It doesn't necessarily shout, right? You're not getting much. It's still there, but...
I think it's quite individual to whiskies and to chocolates, though, because you do that with some of them, and they do that for me anyway, though. But...
All right. Shall we wait for Roy to have... Wait, did Gordon, have you changed your bourbon? Have you gone? Did you pour Ardnamurchan?
I did. It is better. It cuts through.
Oh wow.
The chocolate.
What's the ABV? What's the ABV
50.
on the 50? Okay.
Yeah, it's a flavour profile as well. Obviously, Glenmorangie is quite inert when it paired with like the boldness of the chocolate. So you need a counterpart, and I think that's when you achieve this balance of whiskey cutting through that layer of.
And the Ardna you've used is all unpeated ex-bourbon, right?
It is, I prefer it.
The difference is remarkable. And it's mouthfeel. It's mostly mouthfeel.
Yep.
It's almost like the oiliness or the creaminess or the texture of the chocolate is, a wee bit like when Jen spoke about the chili amplifying the spice or the heat in a dram. I absolutely agree with that. You can buy little tins of Tabasco chocolate. I'm not sure if you can buy it here, but I got them shipped over, and they were fantastic to have with whiskies, but they did amplify the spice a wee bit. And I think that the creaminess in the chocolate is amplifying the oiliness in the whiskey a wee bit. But it definitely benefits from having the extra ABV. So the girls did this better than we did, I think, this time around.
Yeah,
but we obviously, we tried to use it for consistency's sake. These three whiskeys, yeah.
Plus, this is my first rodeo.
This is your first chocolate tasting then?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Same for me.
There we go.
So have you tried chocolate with whiskey just sitting in the house or something?
No, I don't usually eat chocolate. Obviously.
Yeah, before Gordon, after Gregor.
That's unfair. That's unfair.
I tell you what we've got in the house around this time of year is Merci chocolate. You know
You're welcome.
The little thin two block. No, Merci.
Never heard of it.
No, Merci.
No.
Really good. Maybe I'll bring some over next time.
Is that an American thing? Going by the name.
Can we Google that? Can we Google? I think it's Dutch. Dutch. It might be American. I think it's European though, actually. With a name like Merci.
You would think so.
This is... Gordon, you mentioned you preferred X when we were comparing the Ardna there with the chocolate. Was that to say you preferred the unpeated Ardna, or did you prefer Ardna with the milk chocolate?
What?
I don't understand the question.
There was a moment there where you're going, yeah, I prefer this. When we were talking about the fact that Ardnamurchan 10 was unpeated, were you referencing the fact that you prefer unpeated Ardnamurchan, or that you preferred Ardna versus Glenmorangie with your chocolate?
I do prefer unpeated Ardnamurchan, but I meant compared to Glenmorangie with chocolate.
Okay.
Because it's higher ABV, I guess it cuts through. There's a better balance. Whereas the Glenmorangie is so like weak sauce. Chocolate just dominates it. Merci, French for thank you, is a brand of chocolate candy manufactured by the German company August Stork.
Ah, wunderbar.
Yeah.
Schoolbliss world.
Danke.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to move on to the big guns. Let's move to dark.
So do we? Oh, we're changing chocolate and whiskey.
I think so, and then when we've gone through them all, we can mess around. All
right.
So are we going dark with sherry right now? We're not touching our chili one yet.
I believe so, because as Jen rightfully pointed out, she might have actually created a nuclear chocolate.
That's the exit lounge. Once Jen eats hers, that's it. Bye-bye.
Jen, we might, if it's a success, we might need the recipe from you, if you can remember.
I rarely use a recipe, but I would have to. Well, I added some and then tasted it, and then added some more and then tasted it, and then added some more and then didn't taste it and put it in the ice cube trays. So it might. I don't know. I think it did have quite a lot in it. We'll see.
It was red by the end. It was weird.
Aye, it won't freeze anymore. it refuses to freeze. It's that fiery.
They didn't put as much in the chili flake one because I thought they'll
Oh,
be like that'll be quite strong if you get like a chili flake. But I put quite a lot of the chili powder in the other ones.
Right, had a moment.
I'm excited.
Is it you okay?
It's funny. I quite like the dark after the.
Are we going? We're doing it.
I'm going to have a couple of bits of dark chocolate first.
All right.
I was enjoying the bourbon matured in the milk chocolate. It was fine. You know, I was enjoying myself. But that works. That just works.
What works?
The chocolate's better. It's
What-
the dark chocolate
All right.
and the
wow.
dry
Wow.
bitterness. Yeah, right.
But that's rocket fuel whiskey as well, right?
Yeah, but is it? I think the chocolate actually helps attenuate
Whoa.
the
Okay.
heat of the whiskey. It's just
It feels sharper. The Glenallachie feels sharper, like zing busters.
I feel like that's the wrong chocolate choice for it if it feels sharper for you
Oh.
then. Because I feel like it should meld together and taste
Yeah.
better both.
no for me. It was soft. It was waves, gloopy waves, and
Gloopy waves.
aye, but all
Okay.
flavors.
Maybe I'm not doing it right.
But it's
Have a bigger
different
bit of
people.
chocolate, Gordon. Put a full tablet, full square in there.
A full one? Are you mad?
It's Christmas. Enjoy yourself. Jen, how's the dark with?
I'm just sitting here chomping away.
I know.
That's good. I agree. That's a better combo. I think. The first one was
And
good.
your sherry was a
that it's-
12-year Glenallachie.
Yeah. I think you might be right though that it could be even better with a cask strength. But yeah, that's gone like raisiny. Well, whiskey's like that anyway, but it's gone like it tastes like Christmas.
It prolongs that raisin stewed fruit, like it goes for even longer because of the chocolate.
I think
Yeah.
so. It's like stewed fruits and sweet syrupy dates.
It does go for ages.
And the
Probably
chocolate
'cause
goes
the
really
chocolate's still-
velvety instead of dry.
Yep. Defos. This one's lovely as well. I think this one for me has got a really banana rummy kind of taste, this whiskey, but this has made it more like fruity, like tangy fruit, like fresh orange and maybe a bit more Christmassy flavours. But it's lovely. I think I'm preferring the first match so far though. I like
yeah?
I'm a basic gal. I like a more superficial taste. So far I'm preferring the first one.
You don't want anything messing with your sherry, ultimately.
Well, yeah, that's it. I think that's it. It's interfering.
Do we know what percentage of cocoa the Tonys is, or no? It maybe
Let
doesn't
me
say
have
it.
a look.
That's good.
Let me
So I
have a
think
look.
4 of us are all having the lint. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And the only difference for you, Jen, is that you've got the 12-year-old.
Yep. Different
Glenallachie.
Glenallachie.
And I see it's wearing its new suit.
Mm.
The Glenallachie 12 you have is the new
Yep.
labelling.
New one.
What do you think of it in the flesh? Do you think it's an improvement, the new brand?
Yeah, I think so. It looks more generic now. If that's
Mm.
the right way to put it. It doesn't stand out as much, but it looks nicer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It did
Yeah, it
look
does
like the
make sense.
Flintstones before, I think, which wasn't necessarily a
Let's-
bad thing, but lots of people didn't like
Yeah.
it.
Let's be honest. The bar was set particularly low here.
And branding.
It was about
Yeah.
as low as we could be. Sorry, Billy. I love your juice.
What?
The label, I know. Just let's gloss over. Just don't. Just don't.
Gregor, it's not the mouth it comes out of, it's the mind it goes into.
Dear.
Oh, that's a good one, right? Like that.
I would have 2 points on the rebrand. I think we've talked on it before, but it feels like there's a lot of real estate on the label now with not much going on. Right? There's a big slab of the colour and the
Colour.
number. And then I can't remember if it's just when they smash the G and the A together to make a sub-brand, or if it's in the actual full font. But remember the tail of the G is on a janky angle, and it feels just for the sake of it. It's not, the vertical of the G.
I think
or something.
they've got it there, but I don't know if you can even see that. It's like kind of embossed.
It's not quite there. Sorry.
What's your
originality.
criticism?
The
G's wonky.
The unresolved perfection of font.
Tough crowd.
And I know, Gordon. No, I know you know what we're talking about.
I do, unfortunately.
But hey, it's a step in the right direction.
And I don't think anyone. So the reason that the label was angled like that was apparently it's a recreation of the distillery roof, which is pretty unique.
Okay.
You know, the gable end of that building has got that really long kind of 1960s-esque slope.
It's one of those things that has to be explained about the design.
But I think that's okay for branding to have wee hidden things in it or whatever. And I suspect that there must be something about the tail on that G, that's maybe it's there for a reason, the thing that you're wigging out about, Gregor.
You know when you see somebody's face and their eyes are either just a wee bit too far apart or just a wee bit too close? That's what we've got there.
Just because you're not used to them yet.
What, the eyes?
Christ, he is fussy, eh?
or the inbreeding that creates the eyes. Jen, Rachel, let's go down this cul-de-sac and then back out.
Talking about eyes.
Inbreeding.
Branding.
Yep, carry on.
What's the best bit of branding you've seen in the whiskey sphere in the last little while?
Oh God, that's a big question.
Whether it's new branding or rebranding.
I like anything with a map on it. I'll buy that.
Oh.
Ardnamurchan. They've got maps on stuff, don't they?
They do.
Their tissue paper.
They did on their boxes, didn't they?
Yeah, in the boxes they had like contour lines and things. Yeah, I loved that.
That's right.
Before they got rid of their smelly boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who got rid of the boxes?
Ardna.
Ardnamurchan.
Did I ever know?
They smelled a bit bad.
I think was it the first?
They had boxes.
Was it like the first 3 or something? Yeah.
They stopped it quite quick.
And they weren't particularly robust either. The slightest amount of water, or if you even spilled a wee bit of whiskey and it got in the bottom of the box, that was suddenly not usable as a box anymore. It became quite weak.
They were all recycled. It was a very good idea, but then they decided just to scrap it. And I think their line was, "We don't want you to pay for something you're going to put in the bin," which was ideal because you're just going to get rid of that straight away.
That's my problem with boxes. All my boxes go in the bin, and what I hate is when all the info, all the garb that you need to know and keep for the future is on the box, and it's not actually in the bottle. Because look at behind me. I've not got space for boxes, and when it's in a box, I can never tell how much whiskey's in it. I can't see the color. No, boxes aren't for me. So the tissue is the new box for me.
Do you want an Easter egg?
Yeah.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Why are we getting Easter eggs?
Do you want a Christmas egg? The label on this is referencing those smelly boxes. It's an oatmeal. It's a wee oatmeal. It's not white. It's oatmeal.
Why does it smell?
It does actually. I don't know what they're thinking. But
the gherkin strikes again.
Yeah.
Also,
I've been told.
Branding wise, I really liked Ardbeg's branding has been very cool, I thought, and it's kind of lent itself to the more traditional whiskey drinkers, but it's also managed to hook in a lot of the new whiskey drinkers, like with their groovy branding and the different things they do with every special release. So it almost becomes like a challenge to the more traditional whiskey drinkers, and then becomes a cool, groovy, funky thing for people who are not as much into whiskey. So I think they've done a good job of that.
That's good. I like the fact that throughout all that, you still have the consistency of brand, right? There's like, this is our core, this is what we stand for. But look, we've got all fun. There's other, that's cool. I like that.
Their logo that was designed in like something, well, not that far back, but a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Ardbeg A, and that's a great piece of design as well. So it's quite Celtic and quite traditionally Scottish, but then they mould it into other things. I think Ardbeg branding is spot on.
I think it's probably be one of the most tattooed brands as well. maybe the Ardbeg A alongside the Springbank S, and people like that iconography of it.
That one.
That's it. Yeah.
Gordo, what's been your most successful bit of branding in the last wee while?
I think that Bruichladdie's Classic Laddie in the new bottle design has been out of the park. They've whacked it out of the park. Before it was just this amorphous blobby thing, and then they've turned it into this nautical kind of keg-looking thing. It's got the two ribs that you feel like it rolls. It should roll on something. I think that's just been phenomenal. And, you can see Classic Laddie from 100 paces anyway because of the colour, but they've carried it on through to like their Isla barley and their organic, so the bottle design has been adapted, and I just think it's top 10.
Not to come across as Debbie Downer, is it a miss, as in given all this constructive, is it a miss to not put a little porthole in there like Ardnamurchan has?
What I want to see is a half dip. So the top down to halfway is turquoise and then clear. That's what I want to see.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Except it would fool you into thinking you've got more in a bottle than you actually do.
That's okay, but then you can see it. You can see the colour, you can see the in, and you could have even at a slant.
I think what they've nailed with this, because they've got such a long Bruichladdie, is it's quite a long word, isn't it, to fit around a bottle?
It's a big one.
It doesn't matter, and Jen and Rachel will obviously relate to this. It doesn't matter where on a retail shelf that's turned.
Yeah.
With the colour, the vibrancy, the font, the bold font. But
that's
it's
a brilliant piece.
Arial black. It's a bit plain, but it's still solid. But yes, it's a good one.
It's almost medicinal. It looks like a wee medicinal bottle with all the wee text, the little bits.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
And it's got to be knocking on for maybe 15 or 20 years now. That kind of teal colour, right? That
it's not daft. Following in the wake of someone like Tiffany's. It's not daft. Roy, what about yourself?
I was thinking about this just recently, and unfortunately the bottle I've got here is almost empty, but it's because of how bloody good the whiskey is too. But I really liked the solidity and the kind of straightforward look of Ardnahoe's release. The inaugural that came out, it's a tall round bottle with a kind of tapered, the angular shoulders that come down, tapers a little bit. It's recognisable as Scotch whiskey. It doesn't matter what angle you look at it. A lot of people were talking about hieroglyphics and stuff and the way the logo is and things like that. I'll forgive it, all of that. And it's just dead straightforward. The branding is really just dead straightforward. Just everything that you need is front of label. It's got a nice wee gold embellishment there and things. And you can't see the logo because this liquid is... I've got a full bottle somewhere, but I don't know where. I think that was... it didn't initially strike me, but now that I've sat with it a wee bit, I just think that's just solid. It's just classic. It's nobody's gonna come out and say that looks shite. It's lovely. And as you sit with it, you start to realise the texture on the label and things, and
it's similar to the Lag logo, isn't it? I quite like that one as well. And their wee round bottles are nice, and the colour, like the slightly coloured glass.
Yeah, I'm always put off with the cork and Lag.
I quite like the print because it's like Japanese calligraphy kind of feel about it. There's some kind of artistry about the Lag bottle I really like, but the hemisphere cork's a bit of a duff.
It always reminds me of a decorator's roller on a Friday afternoon.
The simplicity of the bottle design with the peaks of the mountain, almost like the
ask and ye shall receive.
There we go. Almost like the lines of a dram, right? I think that's the definition of
But
perfection.
look at the swirl on the glass over the top.
Aye,
mimicking the whiskey. I think that's when they've really done a good job.
Yeah,
because it does. The whiskey's really quite thick. This is a full-bodied thing. This is from fat stills. It's...
Guilty admission. I've not had hardly any Lag. I've not.
But it's full on Peat. It's no.
Aye, that might be why,
right?
Would that see as like three or four, including Jen? I'm talking like Jen is not here, but she's more like she's part of me, so I don't as much talk to her.
That's fair.
2 parts of the one.
We're interchangeable.
As people like who drink whiskey, would that persuade you to buy a bottle with the bottle looking much nicer? Like, so obviously Harris whiskey bottle is beautiful. Would that convince you, or Lindor's, or lots of nice, beautiful looking bottles, would that convince you slightly to buy a bottle if you were in between two and one had a nicer bottle? Would that be the thing that
100%.
tipped you over?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that it's all subliminal. We're all affected by these in ways that we don't measure in real time. Sometimes we do. If it looked shite, it would put us off buying it.
But also much like our POVs on the whiskey, coming from an aficionado perspective, a POV on what's value or what's good design it matches, right? Like we see value in lag and Bruch Laddie, but that probably doesn't equate to the, want of a better term, layman of terms of quality, of value, like, oh, it looks like a decanter, it's a Glen, what's the leaks?
Glenturret.
A Glenturret or a Hibiki, that's more universally like appreciated as valuable or attractive.
Do you think you ever have like the opposite? Because I sometimes have very I'm trying to think, like the Murray McDavid bottles that are really good and really plain. Then sometimes
I love
you trust
those.
them more because you're just like, this is really plain and all the money's gone into the whiskey and I know it's good whiskey. So
and the old
sometimes you have the
Cardmore
opposite
ones.
effect.
Was it you that had an old Cardmore there, Rachel? That I
Nice
love
and
those
boring.
ones. It's like a chart on the front that it's telling you everything that it can. That's what I'm more attracted to, I think.
And again, I think that comes from an aficionado perspective. Only we would understand that. I think a regular punter's going to go, well, that looks basic. Yeah. On the
I think
opposite
then as
scale
well,
of
I think that I'm then paying for what's in the bottle and not paying for the bottle itself, which makes me more inclined. But
fair. I think that is still an advanced.
I think you're right.
Analysis.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. I never shared this yesterday. I was going to share this with you, Roy. I was in buying some bottles. I saw McCollish from 1270. Anyone familiar with the brand McCollish blended?
From 1270?
No, yeah. The packaging is amazing. It comes in this leather sheath, and it's meant to look like a sword, like a claymore bottle. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's $70 in the US, and I'm going to say 50% of that went on the packaging.
Yep. Which I think was one of the I was going to say shameful. It's not shameful at all. It was one of for speaking from the perspective of enthusiasts, I think we are. The Inch Tierney release that looked like a sword Excalibur / lightsaber handle, which I've got there. But if I keep going and grabbing all the bottles that we talk about, I'll end up even not being able to see me. That's probably a good thing. Let me grab it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
We need to think of a bottle that he has to find somewhere in the far reaches.
At the back. It's going to be at the back.
You know, all these great as and you'll find it somewhere.
I reckon a Longmorn.
Did anyone hear me kicking that bottle of lag across the room?
Kick the lag. It's fine.
like a disobedient pet.
It's a chunky. It's a good
rolling
quality bottle.
It's rolling across the floor like a wee.
That lag can take it.
Of whiskey. That lag can take it, absolutely. But I think this is, it's so egged. And if you were to drop this on your toe,
wow.
I mean, there's got to be.
Is it solid metal?
I think it's, well, all the space that the cork's not taken up is solid aluminium. I don't know what it is. It's not heavy metal, but it's a heavy, heavy cork. And it was £117. That has come down in price since, obviously, because I don't know if it's shifting at that price. But it's a shame because if we talk about loving the liquid and the love of the liquid, the story of this is all in the liquid. It's just fantastic liquid. But I'm put off by the ostentatious, over-egged, over-gilded.
Producer and marketing team were not in the room at the same time.
Or one of them had a louder, more convincing argument. I don't know.
Because it is when it's too novelty, it makes you suspicious, doesn't it? It's like, what are you trying to cover up with this?
I bet.
I do. It was Paul Dempsey that gave me this line, and I've used it on several tastings since. That I do also like a whiskey bottle that doubles as a weapon. I like a heavy bottle, and I think that's great. And he said that, and I use it all the time, and it's true. Like, see a chunky, heavy whiskey bottle, it's good.
Kilholman.
Go home and
Oh.
Lindor's, that's got a good wedge
Glentarret.
on it. He worked at Spate at the time, which is hit someone with that, they'd know. Do you know, it's a good bottle for that.
And yet everyone's going lightweight, right? Brookladdy, Ardnamurchan. There's another one I picked up recently. It was when it was empty. I was like, "That's how light that's." Oh, it was Holyrood. Very, very lightweight glass.
That looks very disposable.
Aye. So I think we're going to see less of that with a big punt at the bottom. You know, the big thick.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
Heavy
I'm a
base.
fan. I'm with you, Rachel. I feel like either it doubles as a weapon or there's a value there.
defos.
I'd maybe give, before we move on to Jen's rocket fuel spiced chocolate, I gave Glenglassaugh a hard time for their bottle design. I say it redeemed itself a little bit in hand. You know, when you've got the sort of ripples, the water-like ripples on the top. But I still stand by my gripe is it's a bottle of two halves. It needed to gently transition if you needed a label. I guess that's why they did what they did. So you've got a flat surface for the label. But that was, I have to say, in hand, it redeemed itself a little bit. But my favourite bit of branding recently, I'm actually wearing.
Portaleaf, so good.
Wow, they're good. Good.
It's so good is their branding and so little whiskey to buy just yet that I came away with 2 t-shirts, 2 tea towels, postcards. I love it. I love the branding. I think it's super modern. I look forward to seeing where they go with the bottle design.
Very close to home for you though as well, right? It's like your home team.
Yeah. I mean, we can't have Glasgow having all the accolade of whiskey production now with Glasgow and Clydeside, you know, Holyrood and Leith. We'll hold our own.
Edinburgh's ahead of us now. We've got 2, Glasgow and Clydeside. You've got Bonington as well as Portaleaf and Holyrood. So you're the capital's a wee bit ahead.
But Rach, was it both of you went through? Or was it just yourself?
Just Jen.
Oh,
We've
Jen?
both been though to Holyrood.
we have
to
both been.
where? To Portaleaf.
More
To Portaleaf.
recently.
We've both been to both of them anyway. Yeah, I was there more recently, but yeah, we both went and did their kind of, was it like opening
trade
thing?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. Did you go, Jen? It was really recent, right? So you went as they're knocking down half of Ocean Terminal.
Yes. Couldn't find anywhere to park. They knocked the car park down.
Funny side story to that one, Jen. I went when I was over just there in November. You know that small footpath that leads up to the distillery?
Mm-hmm.
I mistook that as a road to their car park and drove up it.
Oh, I think people do that all the time.
The only thing is, there's nowhere to turn when you get to the end of that road. And I had to reverse.
Like the workers drive up there. I think you're fine.
Oh, honestly, the sooner that Ocean Terminal Park gets cleaned up, the better. But I'm a massive fan of the potential of what Leith is going to do.
It's such a good idea as well, bringing like port and sherry and things and bottling that. No one else has done that to like show what they're going to put their whiskey in, what casks they're going to put their whiskey in. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, totally. I think I wasn't really listening to Rassay when they were doing the whole while you wait or while we wait thing, but that's wise. That makes sense to build your brand before it's ready. I loved that. I loved it. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we don't drop the ball. I'm excited. It's quite trippy to see suspended washbacks, right?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Definitely.
That's bizarre.
And consider the weight.
Aye. I sent that to Connell. I sent him a photo from up, like looking up, and he said, gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But hey.
Do you think, just before we finish on branding, Gregor, do you think because of how invested you are in the product already as a brand, do you think you're likely to be more favourable towards their whiskey when it drops?
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the table whiskey.
Did you not? I liked it.
Well, it's not theirs.
No, but they've put their logo on it.
Yes. Sourced, yeah.
North British.
I think it sets me up to be ready for success. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Just curious.
But that moment stops as soon as the liquid hits the taste buds, right? Same with Holyrood. I kind of went and I was listening, yep, and then I tasted it, and it delivered. I was like, okay, we're on.
That was the first release then, the inaugural.
And I went through a tasting at the distillery as well. But I've not had anything since. I've only had the arrival. Has anyone tried the second bottle?
Embra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And
I think it was good, but I think the problem was I don't think it was as good as the arrival. Its biggest competition was the one that came before it. It's a different whiskey, completely different whiskey.
It was priced so high, and it didn't deliver versus other things of lesser cost.
what struck me, and forgive me, I don't know if we spent any time on Holyrood. What struck me when I was there, and I think everybody that's there is super passionate and they're all invested in the brand. So, spot on. You've got good hiring practices. But when I was there, the guy was saying on the tour that they're experimenting. It's very experimental right now. They're experimenting in all wackiness, and they'll land somewhere, but there was no intimation we know where we're going to go. I had a funny, awkward moment in a chat thread on a live once where I shared that opinion, and only to find out that one half of Holyrood were in the chat. But it was honest, and it comes from a place of
that's great feedback for them.
Positivity. My point was a bit like Rassie said. We have a North Star like that. I can get on board with a brand saying we want to be this or we want to go there. We'll dance around to get there, but to say we don't really have a POV on what we want to stand for was a strange one.
Mm-hmm. Too loosey-goosey.
Well, and look at Waterford, right? Not to turn this into...
Theirs is a lodestar, not a North Star.
But same...
Literally, yeah.
Like, same story. So, hard to get behind it if you don't show where you want to go.
Aye.
It speaks of kind of rudderless, doesn't it? If they say, who knows, you want some sort of, vision going on.
Yeah. So it sounds like I don't need to chase the Embra bottling.
Chase away.
And it depends on if you don't overpay for it. I think it's a nice wee one to have, especially for you. Again, it's the home team. I mean, I just think it's amazing that there's distilling back in the centre of Edinburgh again.
Oh, amazing to think, and for tourism as well, right? I mean, it's great to say if you've got 3 days in Scotland, 4 days, go here, go there, boom, boom, boom. If you're only there for a weekend. Now you've got options in Glasgow and Edinburgh, and you can scratch the distillery itch.
One of the biggest issues, and for years they were talking about why does Glengoyne never put a bus on and things.
Aye.
Deanston, the highest, girls, you would know this, the footfall that came to Deanston were so many people were going to Deanston simply because it was there. Because it was within reach, right? People could get a short bus, a train, and head up to Deanston and things. And
just nearer. It was the same bus service that Glengoyne is on. It was just longer from my city. So it was just, what was it, like 20 minutes from Stirling as opposed to like 45 minutes from Glasgow. But it was the same bus route.
Right?
But
same bus?
because I used to get on the Glengoyne one, and like that was my route into Glasgow. And oh my goodness, I can see why tourists wouldn't. Like, the bus drivers were just horrible, wouldn't tell them when to get off. They'd be in the next village, they'd have to walk back. Like, Risdeanston, you couldn't miss it, and they stopped there anyway, and much easier.
Did we not have that experience when we last went to Glengoyne, like about a year ago, Jen, or more than a year ago, and trying to get the bus back? Was it not late?
The bus, it didn't show up, and we had to get the next one or something, yeah.
And the next bus there is not like when you're in Glasgow or another...
Yeah.
No, it's an hour, It's an hour to the next one. And that's a good bus service for this area, like.
Wow.
Glengoyne, you have to say that it's a pretty place. I liked when I visited there.
It's a very good visit.
It's a nice distillery. And I'm a fan up until a point, and that point is when you try and fleece me in the store. When I'm paying well over the odds, when I've already made the effort to get here, sorry. I'm out with a vengeance.
Yep. Don't apologise. I think it's right. And I think that they say that there are reasons for it, but I don't know if those reasons are justifiable. I think if you've made the pilgrimage to go there, you don't want discounts, you don't want to pick it up cheap, but you don't want to be bumped over the head, which is happening too often, I think. Girls, when were you last up at Deanston?
Deanston, I was there, same point I was at Portleith. So like, how many weeks ago? 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so
like that.
pretty recently then.
Yeah.
So tell me this, when we talk about branding and things, if this is true, and it looks from the photos that it's true, I love this. So you know the black fungus, Aspergillus, whatever it's called, that feeds on alcohol, right? And it's everywhere. Covers bus stops and walls and signposts with this black ugliness. And it's where there are residential people nearby, there's a lot of conflict and things. I know that Loch Lomond can have trouble and stuff. But at Deanston, obviously, depending on when they last cleaned the buildings, you could see it bright red or really dark black, right? But now what they've done is they've just jet washed the Deanston brand into the side of the building.
Yeah, it's such a good idea.
They have done it.
Yeah.
They have done
that's
that.
brilliant. I love that.
It looks really impactful from the photos, and I thought, I hope that they've just cleaned that bit. And
so they've just masked it. They've masked it and then
that's what it looks like.
Power washed it. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's like is it Ballindalach? It's got a massive bit of livery on the side of their distillery. It was impressive.
Yeah, but that's painted black letters.
Yeah.
This is the inverse of that.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I've not been to Deanston. Gordon, have you done Deanston yet?
I've not. No, not yet. Sorry.
I feel like Deanston's such a solid whiskey that I'm not chasing. I've got enough. I've got quite a few bottles, but I'm never chasing it. I don't know.
For me, it was hard to get to from Perth. Not from Perth, from Kinross. It was quite a way. We used to go to Aberfoyle and Callander quite a lot, but then I was driving, so I couldn't go in. And then you need a couple of hours, and then small children, blah blah blah. But to get there just to do whiskey was quite a problem from Kinross.
A pilgrimage.
A pilgrimage, aye.
I do feel like I owe it. I think we owe it, Gordon. Maybe that's
Deanston is
Let's go.
one of these amazing shapeshifter whiskies, right? It seems to do okay in pretty much any cask, but when it's good liquid in a good cask, it's splendid. I've loved Deanston for a long time.
Before we go spicy, Jen Rachel, have you tried that Embra Holyrood? No?
Nope. I've not tried either of those. I've not tried any of theirs.
Okay. Well, another reason to get to Edinburgh.
What was the first reason?
Portleith.
Again, let's go back.
Aye. Great. All right. Let's do this then, shall we? Chili.
I have also, in the meantime, I tried my sherry one with my milk chocolate.
My
how was that? One, and I switched and tried my dark chocolate with my Deanston, and they were not as good as the original pairings at all. The milk chocolate and the Deanston and the sherry and the dark are the best by far of mine.
Okay.
I tried the milk and the sherry and preferred it.
Really?
Yes, I did.
There you go.
I don't know why. And I also,
you're wrong.
Thank you. I broke the rules and went on to the chili ages ago and tried it with the peated. So I have opinions, but I'll save it.
Oh,
that's okay. We're here to break rules.
I have to say, man, Roy, are you still thinking you prefer a chocolate tasting than a cheese tasting?
Yes.
Pairing, I should say.
Well, if I'm in the mood for cheese, then I only want a wee bit of cheese. But the only cheese I reach for with whiskey is the solid, a decent Parmesan, and with a sherry.
Jen Rachel, what do we think on cheese and wine?
Whiskey.
Cheese and wine.
Sorry, cheese.
There's a new element added as well. What's going on,
Gregor? Get your head in the game.
Sorry, that 10-year-old cash strength's kicking in.
A year.
Yeah. I feel like whiskey with anything, usually it's a cool thing to try and pair it with different flavours, but I've not done much of that myself, to be honest.
Yeah, I've not done... Well, vegan cheese is not different,
true.
I guess, but
on a pizza,
I've definitely had it together.
Vegan, I have to say, I was convinced of vegan cheese on a pizza, That was quite good.
You have to get like the right cheese for the right scenario. I feel like with vegan cheese, like you have to get specific. Like the cheese, the one that's made in Butte, that's a really good one, a really good melty one for on a pizza, especially the one with chili in it. That's amazing. But yeah, you have to get like the right. Some of them they say melty on them, and you try and melt them, and they just go completely crispy and solid. You have to like experiment, and get the right ones. But yeah, there's vegan parmesan with whiskey is good. I've had that.
What cheeses did you do in your not your vegan cheese, sorry, your cheese and whiskey tasting?
We did a parmesan. We did a blue cheese. Was it 3 cheeses?
4.
Blue cheese makes me and Jen scared. I don't
want to
like
eat mold.
I don't like it.
Oh.
Well, cheese is mouldy just by its existence, right? It's,
Yeah,
But you can't see it as much.
Yeah.
You don't want to see it.
It's visual.
Have you ever seen? Sorry, viewers, listeners. Have you ever seen the cheese with maggots in it?
Stop. What?
No.
As in,
no.
You eat the whole thing like it's live.
What's wrong with you, man?
It's extra protein.
It's not me.
No?
It's the French or the Sardinians. One of them.
And it's in the. It's in there.
horrific. You're eating maggots and cheese.
This can't be. I'm not googling it, but this can't be right.
It's a thing. It's a thing. What was the other cheese then, boys? Can you remember?
We did a soft cheese, did we not? And a cheddar.
Brie.
A brie.
Oh, I've always hated brie, but you get a vegan brie. That's where the whiskey is really good as well.
Okay. There we go.
Maggots
Rachel,
and
go
cheese.
get those and go back and listen. Give it a wee.
Yes.
Scott Monroe is at his all-time peak in that. He's all over that. He loves his cheese. First of all,
sorry.
The heat level on this cheese, I've not drank yet. I figure I'd get the heat up in the palate. It's quite subtle.
Yeah, it's not burning my mouth here.
I was hoping for a bit more. Jen, what's your heat level at?
I'm trying to remember which one's which at the minute. I'll go with this one. It was the chili flakes one first.
Chili flake, that's going to be pretty forward. That's going to be...
Might have to like find a chili flake in it though.
Not infused enough.
I can taste the salt, but yeah.
I mean, salt and peat.
Spicy.
Oh, really?
I'm struggling, man.
Really?
Do you know what that needs? Rachel? It needs a wee bit of peat.
That's what I'm putting. I'm drinking it together. It's like fire. It's like fiery creosote. I feel like someone would like it, but for me, it's a bit much. I'm like,
I'm disappointed with the heat in this lint. It's not chili.
Jen, I think you've got a niche here. I think you... Rachel keeps switching back into ASMR mode.
That was always one of our favourite tasting notes.
Oh, yum, yum, yum. Often confused with...
different to nom 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 nom. That's a different one.
Yeah.
Nom 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 nom.
Nom nom.
I get more pepper here than chili.
With the Leche guy.
Well,
It's
if
very
you've gone with
peppery.
the small producer, the small independent producer, it has quite a bit of chili in it. It's lovely.
Yeah, this is weak sauce. This stuff.
It is.
Yes.
Mass produced.
Oh, the one with the chili powder and the nutmeg. That's like got a kick at the back.
Oh
It's a
dear.
bit dusty.
Oh, that might be the nut. Well, nutmeg's quite nice though. How much nutmeg?
Just
How
a wee
many-
bit of, well, probably too much, but a wee bit. But yeah, quite a bit of chili powder for just like 3 squares of the Lindt chocolate. It was probably like maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's probably quite a lot for that. Yeah, that's got a nice heat to it.
Wow. Yeah, the Tabasco chocolate that comes in the tin that I was used to that I've been used to having has an appreciable chili heat to it, whereas this only when you taste the 2 chocolates together are you actually aware that there's much chili going on.
Yeah, comparing. We're going to try the milk. Milk. I'm going in with milk and peat. Let's see what
The
happens.
milk and peat. Oh, right. Well, I'll join you for a
The
wee
chili
bit.
and sherry goes quite nicely.
Oh, it's middle ground for you, isn't it? Between the milk and the dark, I suppose.
Oh, eh?
Eh?
I quite like the milk with peat.
Do you?
I think that brings a little bit of sweetness.
Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. I'm going to end up eating 3 bars of chocolate tonight. That's ridiculous.
That puts it into Cuboken 15 territory for me.
Does
That's
it?
quite nice.
Well,
Rachel, have you tried the Cuboken 15, Rachel?
I think we did it on tasting.
I think we did. It was good.
It was lovely. I'm sure I remember it being lovely, but then been like, did
stellar.
you try that? But
No.
I'm sure I loved it.
It's stellar.
Really good dram.
I've not had a Kuboken I didn't like.
Same.
It's
What was the last one we did? The banana one.
No, that was
No.
the 3. What was the last one we did? Oh no, was that not the 15?
Oh, in the no, it was the Jamaican
Sorry,
rum
while we
cask
work
and
this
PX casks.
No, it's all right. This is good. This is good content.
Sorry. I can remember tasting it. I can remember how it tastes. I can't remember what it was called.
Jamaican and PX. It was the most recent Creation series one.
Okay.
And it was orange and kind of green box. It was delicious. But I like their New Oak, Colombian New Oak one
That was amazing.
That was good.
Like banoffee pie, that one.
I love their Creation ones. I love all. I think I've only had maybe how many creations has there been? 6. I think 2 of them have been like, oh, that's all right, but the rest have been like, that's delicious. I buy a bottle.
I think that's. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty. I think that's all Scott Adamson's fingerprint. I think he's very much Mr. Cuboken.
Maybe not the making and the filling and the
No,
but putting it together at the end. Yeah,
the alchemy.
and also, I don't know what you guys would think, Jen and Rachel, but when you're hosting all of these tastings, there's always a certain percentage of the room that really struggles with peat. And I think Kuboken is a peach to put down in front of somebody who, because I think the peat never overpowers those other flavours that
It's a
in.
nice wee,
just,
like integrated level of peat.
To the point, if I'm honest, I don't even taste peat in Kuboken. I've got to have it in stark contrast with something that, like a Glenmorangie 10 or whatever. Because often if I'm just picking it up and sipping it, I'll just not even pick up on the peat. Oftentimes it's so subtle at times. Especially that 15-year-old that
You don't get peat from that. Wow.
I
mean,
get peat from it.
I'm coming around to peat, as you know, but I can also see what you're saying about finding it harder to pick it up now that I'm not scared of it. It's quite hard to notice it sometimes, but Gordon, you seemed revolted at the thought of peat with milk chocolate. Was that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it didn't work.
It was like chewing a permanent marker.
No.
Wow.
It was awful.
That's from a voice of
And I've chewed some
experience.
permanent markers, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I tasted my milk one with the peat one and it went a wee bit cowshed.
Aye, very farmy, very permanent marker, like chemically, bit of silage. Ugh.
The chili with the sherry has gone almost like pickly hamburger relishy. But the peat with the chili is good. It makes it, that's the only one that works, I think, for me with that one.
No dingoes with that one. I don't like it.
Fair play. Rach, what drew that reaction from you just then?
That was my PT one with the milk chocolate, which was actually alright. At first it's a bit startling, but then it kind of mellowed out and it kind of went alright. That Vigo chocolate lends itself to a lot of stuff though. The chili chocolate with the Deanston doesn't go as well. I feel like that chili chocolate is delicious, but it's a bit harder to pair with stuff. It goes well with the sherry one though. Doesn't go as well with Deanston, but goes really well with the sherry one. I think someone else would probably like it with the PT whiskey. I'm struggling with PT whiskies generally at the moment, so I think, Jen, you'd love that because it made it be like just creosote. I felt like I was biting creosote, whatever that would be like.
Yeah, the point that I took the PT one with the chili powder one, someone said creosote, and it was just like, whoa, that's one of my favourite tasting notes. I just got that.
So I think it would be good for someone, but for me, it's just a bit too much smoke.
It's amazing, isn't it? We've never drank creosote in our life, but we get it instantly. What's been spoken about. That's really interesting. I don't know if Gregor was just about to pick up on Jen's I'm not getting along with Peat at the moment.
Rachel's, but
Sorry,
They're one and the
Rachel's, yeah.
same, Roy. Don't
Do
worry
you-
about it. The royal
do
we
you-
at the
Terrible.
Grail, so it is.
It was more so. Rachel, you've got is it that you've got waves of enjoyment of? I go through phases, and so because I assume you have at one point enjoyed Peat.
See, to be honest, when I first got into whiskey, then it was more smoky stuff I liked. It was like leche and stuff that got me into it because it's quite unusual. But I've totally, I feel like I've gone the opposite trajectory of your average whiskey drinker where they start as Speysides and they go peaty. I feel like I went peaty and then went back from it. And there's the odd dram I like, but for my average one, I wouldn't usually choose a smoky one, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen, where do we stand on Peat?
Love it all the time. The peatier the better.
You
Yeah.
don't smell like any peat and Kubokkens whenever we have
Yeah,
whiskies.
never.
There's no
What
peat
was
in
the
that
one
at
we had?
all.
Oh, there was the
Glen Scotia 15.
Glen Scotia 15. Rachel had to tell me there was peat in there. I didn't know it was there at all. Couldn't get a
But
single
they've
hint of
changed
it.
that recently. I feel like that's gotten more peaty. Last time I tried, I didn't taste any peat in it. Maybe that's a reflection of how much I was tasting peat at that
Right.
point. But as soon as
Maybe.
I opened it, I was like, whoa, that's peaty.
I think that must be right. This is really heartening for me to hear because I'm somebody who loves to taste whiskey, but I'm one of these insufferable arseholes that loves to talk about it when I'm tasting it and talk about what I'm tasting
No, Roy,
and tell
never.
and suffer it with everybody. And I'm talking about in company that doesn't even drink whiskey. I'll be talking about that. So when you are sitting in company and you're talking about flavours in a glass, and somebody who doesn't really drink whiskey takes the glass from you, and a Highland Park 12 or whatever, and the first thing they smell is smoke, and everyone round the table's getting, oh, that's very smoky, that's really smoky, that one, that's very smoky, and you're going, oh my goodness, really? So
Sometimes though at tastings though, because I do lots of tastings where there's people who've never really had whiskey before, and they'll taste and smell stuff that is completely unpeat, and they go, oh, I get the peat in that, I get the smoke in that, really, really smoky, oh, I can't drink that, it's too peaty. They're picking up other things as well.
alcohol probably.
Yeah. And like spicy notes and things that they're interpreting as peat because they've heard that's in whiskey. So if it's with non-whiskey drinkers, that might be something else they're picking up as well.
It's interesting. Peat can be applied to multiple things. I think you're right, Jen, spot on. But if somebody says smoky, the most it's going to drift away is probably like a maybe tire smoke or barbecue smoke or something, but it's always going to have a smoke element to it. But I'm constantly suffering. And Rachel, the only thing I've ever been able to cure it with is to not touch peat for weeks. And then you come back and you have something even lightly peated and you go, oh, okay. And I think it is your brain working against you to cancel out the things that are most obvious.
Well, that's your solution, Jen. Just no peated whiskey for a while.
And good luck with
That's
that.
a good solution.
Well, no, Rachel, it was you that needed the help with the peat. You need to convince back
You
onto
need
it, no?
more.
No, Roy, are you not saying like to find the peat again? You
Ah,
can
right,
use it
yeah,
for a
yeah.
while.
Mhm.
Yes.
Which is what
Yeah.
Jen am. I've no bother seeing the peat and things. I'm like, but we do find that a lot with customers. I think that's partly like a misunderstanding of what peat actually smells and tastes like, to be honest. Not to be too mean to them, but I think it's just a misunderstanding of what that flavour is.
Yeah, because I always do like a really peaty one at the end. So sometimes I'll be like, you're all thinking you get peat in this number one, like light Speyside.
Right.
Go smell the last one. And then they're like, oh, okay, no, I get it now. That's different.
Yeah.
I can tell you from like a wee bad bit in me, there's nothing more satisfying than if someone's been extremely patronising to you and they know lots about whiskey, though they are an aficionado and they do not need your help, and they try a bun of having 12 and they go, the peat in that. The glory of saying there's no peat in that at all, sir, it surpasses nothing in life. It was beautiful, delicious.
I love that. I smell shite. There's
Like
no
it.
peat.
No peat in that at all, sir.
No.
Great.
I saw an article, or I think Alistair reposted it, talking about current trend on a sway towards lightly peated. I don't know if that was. Well, I've not read the article. I should say. Jen, Rachel, have you noticed any trends in the tastings that you've been doing and such that would reinforce that peated is starting to grow in popularity more, or lightly peated is becoming maybe the sort of middle of the road?
Well, in the tastings that I do, a lot of people think they don't like peated whiskey because they've tasted Lafroig. So then when I give them something that's maybe like a little bit less, even something like a Kalila a lot of the time, they're like, I don't like peaty whiskey, but I like this. And you're like, well, there's a whole world of peaty whiskey out there. You don't have to rule it out because you didn't like this one quite severe one that you tried, which I love, but not everyone's cup of tea. But yes, I think definitely with the customers that I've got in my tastings that are not necessarily really into whiskey yet, they're definitely kind of going that way, like, oh, I can drink peaty whiskey now because I like this. Like something like a Cabochen or something else that's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, what's your first bottle you're reaching for to win somebody over when they're saying, oh no, I'm a bourbon drinker or an ex-bourbon Scotch drinker? What peated dram are you reaching for to maybe convince them?
Probably Leipzig, Ardnamurchan, or Kalila. Or Cabochen.
I feel like Cabochen are a wee Benromic.
Ben
They're not
Romic.
already convinced on peat, like a wee tea that a peat just to...
With sherry in there as well to sweeten it up a bit.
Yes.
Interestingly, neither of you said a Clynleash or a Springbank. Like, that would have probably been my first protocol.
Well, if we could get a hold of a Springbank.
Okay.
But also, I feel like a Springbank is too funky for someone coming into whiskey.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll try that and be like, ooh, that tastes like sewage. And you're like, it's good, isn't it? I'm like, no. It's, as I said, farm juice. And farm juice is niche. You've got to admit farm juice is niche.
Right, yeah.
And also, if you want to persuade someone into a certain type of whiskey, you want it to be something that they can get hold of again, because often people will latch on to like one name and that's the one that they're going to stick to for a while. So you need to get them something that they can buy themselves in the shops.
Yeah. And true. It's worth talking a wee bit about how we speak about whiskey, how we taste whiskey or whatever. Do we differentiate between smoke and peat, or is it the same thing?
I try to now, but I used to not. I used to use them interchangeably, and I found that got me into a lot of confusing situations with people. So I try my best now to use them as different descriptions, but I sometimes fall into it. And when I say smoky, I mean peaty, because I think that's what I'm always referring to, is that smoky taste that is the peat, if that makes sense.
So are you describing the same thing with two different words then? Is that what we're...
I was previously, but now smoke is, I try and use it as something different, but I will sometimes just fall back into that, because for me then it represents that peaty flavour. But I know like smoky flavours you can get more from like a cask char or like another kind of smoky element in the dram that's not from the peat. But I used to use them interchangeably, and it used to cause confusion, I think, quite a lot, because other people do that also, or sometimes use it as the same thing. So it's...
Or even like describing the difference between like maybe Lafroig and like Kalila. So like Lafroig, I always say, is like a heavy, earthy, like soily peat smoke, whereas Kalila is like a lighter, up here, wispier kind of like coal smoke. And then people kind of get that difference a little bit.
Aye, I think that if you're once you're talking about smoke, you're talking about smoky things, and that obviously most of the time in Scotch whisky, that's most of the time it's coming from peat. But when you start to use specifically talking about peat, you've either supplanted the word peat to talk about smoke, or maybe you're into a realm where it's really subjective, I think. Because I think it's really, if you were to say to somebody, what does peat smell and taste like? Peat, not what peat does to whiskey, peat in its own right. I think that's much more kind of out there, right? Earthy is a good one, Jen. But, you know, even dry peat smells like nothing, and I've never tasted it, you know, not wet peat has got aroma and I guess lots more flavour, but it's not often you're going to get that in whiskey, and it's certainly not how the peat is used in the process that you would taste that in whiskey. You know, that's the silage, the farm notes, that kind of thing.
Do you guys use those words interchangeably, or have you used them and then stopped using them interchangeably, or have you never used them interchangeably?
You talking to me?
All three, I suppose.
I'm super clumsy. I use peat and smoke interchangeably, and I'm probably more often use the word peat.
Yep.
I would say I probably, when I talk about peat, I'm talking about stuff like an Ardbeg and a Lafroig. But then others, I might talk about smokiness, like a barbecue smoky. I think those are different things. I think peat and barbecue are different.
There's also a Highland peat as well, which is a lot more soft, maybe,
Floral.
or it's differentiated from Isla peat.
Yep.
As you were talking about peat, Roy, or the smell of it, I was reminded. I've been on maybe once or twice now, a Simon Brooking from Lefroy Ambassador. He's one of the best one of the best in the business. If you've never been on one of his tastings, but he's talking about peat and so on, and he'll often have a bit of peat. So he's travelled or he's had peat travelled to him in the States, and as he's talking, he sits with a big burner burning this peat, so that eventually the smoke goes up around the room. It's so immersive. It's so good.
That's cool.
It's
Especially
brilliant.
when all the smoke alarms go nuts, right?
Aye, well.
Sprinklers coming on. Beep, beep, beep.
Awesome. Well, I don't know. I think there was no revelations there. I think the original thoughts on what chocolate would pair were reinforced. I think maybe don't go as weak as a 40 or a 43 Glenmorangie, maybe, would be my only takeaway.
Yeah, agree.
You need a bit more oomph.
And maybe get something a bit more exciting than the chili. I think your fruit, Jen, or I got a white chocolate. I hadn't thrown that into the mix. But maybe something like that, something a bit more out there on the spectrum.
Yeah, young peaty whiskey and raspberry is really good. One of the best combos.
Raspberry chocolate.
Raspberry chocolate, yep.
Nice.
We should have spoke to the girls before we set this up.
We do another one.
Amateurs. Absolute amateurs.
I know. We'd all been making our homemade chocolate in advance, right?
I'm impressed. Jen, I have to ask, when you made that chocolate and it set, did it have a slight like frostiness to it? Or
it's dull as anything because I didn't temper it because I flung it in the fridge. It only had an hour. So it's not shiny or anything. But if I had longer, I could temper it.
But that's just a visual thing, right? It tastes all the same. It's just a visual. It's an aesthetic.
Yeah.
Does tempering
the equivalent
snappier?
Make it what, sorry?
Snap. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does something to the texture. It's the crystals in it, isn't it?
It makes it kind of...
I think so. Yeah, because these are very soft.
Wait, hang on. In the episodes of ASMR, Gordon,
I'm not doing that again.
Can you give us a snappy chocolate, please? And a less than snappy chocolate. Great stuff. Well, listen, before we pivot over to I Am a Distillery, Roy, I believe you've got an I Am a Distillery.
I do, yep.
Good.
We're moving away from pairings, so I was just going to say, does anyone have any other whiskey and food pairings that they've done? So I've got one that's like my outstanding one.
Oh, here we go. We need to hear that.
Is this a whole genre or just one thing with whiskey?
One thing. It's like specifically, especially if you're like out walking in the cold, this is great. Mm-hmm. You find a pub and you get like probably a peaty whiskey, but whatever whiskey.
Pause. Wait. There's the build up. You're out. It's when you're out in the elements. You find a pub.
Yep. Out walking in the hills.
Walking in the hills.
Yep.
Ears are hot, rosy cheeks. You're
There's
going
a
in
fire
for a
on.
Right. Roy, how do finish this sentence? You have a whiskey and
a seat.
Hopefully. Not necessarily though.
Gordon, all that build up, you reach for a dram and a
haddock supper.
A haddock supper. Rachel, let's test how you know your other half. All that build up, and you pair your whiskey with.
I feel like you've told me this, Jen, and it's on the. Oh no, I don't know.
We've had this. We've gone.
Let me go. Wait, no. Wait. Hold. Then I'll go first. I'm gonna say pork scratchings.
Oh.
You're vegan. Vegan. Wait.
Come on, Gregor.
I'll back up. All right. Scampi fries.
Scampi? Oh my god.
Right, Rachel, what's your guess?
Hot chops.
Hot chips.
Hot chips.
chips.
A bowl of hot chips with loads of salt on. And a whiskey. Old Paltney 12 is a really good one for that.
Well, salt and salt and salt.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have more salt with my salt.
Yep.
Also, though, Leche 10.
Leche 10's excellent as well.
Oh, so good with some hot
Chips.
salty chips.
With chips.
Can we qualify this though? Let's be inclusive. So chips, we're talking about fries for the Americans. Are we talking thick cut chips, or are we
just
talking
like standard pub chips,
I
like the
think
kind of
thick
medium
cut.
ones?
Especially
Okay.
if they're like
Medium
speaking to the
chips.
Americans, like not a McDonald's fry, like
No.
a chunky,
Right.
a chunky
Yep.
chip. I think.
more potato than outer?
Yeah, with a
Yeah,
thin, like a
just.
nice crispy crust.
Okay.
Loads of
Very good.
grease. I get something to with the high alcohol and high fat content works really well together.
So I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that's my takeaway from tonight with the chocolate is I think the reason that the chocolate works with the whiskey quite well is the fattiness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the fat in the chocolate and it just the texture and the.
Same with the cheese.
Well, you know what's coming up next? This is a trilogy then, Roy.
What, chips and whiskey?
No, but I don't know how we get Jen and Rachel back for the third part.
For hot
But
chips.
I was going to say charcuterie. If
Oh,
we
there's
talk
vegan
about
charcuterie.
Fat.
That's
Okay,
easy, we can do
hello.
that. We can do that.
2025, ladies.
I'm in.
See you there.
There we go. Well, as we talk about a year, maybe just a couple of minutes retrospective on the year. Maybe your year in whiskey, Jane Rachel. What whiskey, if you had to go back and snag a bottle of it now, would you be reaching for?
The girls' expressions tell me that they weren't given this question in advance.
Oh, there's too many to choose from.
But in your heart, in your head, there's already an image of the whiskey. You know.
The Glen Scotia 14 we did in a tasting was delicious. The Campbelltown, the fit one that was in red wine cask. But I think I'd probably go for one of the Kubokken creations. I've absolutely loved all of those bottles, and the last one was delicious. So I
Do
might
you know
go
the
for that
North
one,
Star,
but
the Full?
very good.
This is
bottle.
very recent because it's our last tasting. But yeah, that one was
Very
kind of
good bottle.
standout for me.
Oh, I'm trying to
Which
think
is a
what
blended
else.
scotch, right?
Yeah, loved it.
Nice.
Use- I don't know.
Gordon.
Can you come back to me?
Roy. You've had a whiskey this year that you thought, I really probably need a bottle of that.
I tell you what I'll do. It doesn't answer your question directly because I'm just as fused by the question as the girls were, because how many whiskies I got to try in 2024. It was tremendous. What a fantastic year, right? We started this year thinking it was going to be a bit doom and gloom, and I think a lot of people have been challenged, retail and the sales of whiskey and things, but the choice has been fabulous, and the getting together with the whiskey folk has been out of this world. But I have just taken one sip, one dram out of a brand new bottle, and I'm already going to drop another 75 quid for a second bottle from one dram, and I don't think it's within reach. I think it's still in the living room. I think
what we can do is we can cut to the footage of Gordon rubbing his eyes, just to buy you time to go off camera and grab said bottle, Roy.
I will. I'll grab it.
Okay, I'll take my pick.
Go for it.
This isn't it, but it's one of these ones.
Yeah, that's yes.
I mean, this one here.
Well, we can't use that footage, Gordon. Clearly.
No, this isn't the one. It was one of the older handfuls, and it was a Golden Promise, and it just blew me out of the water. It was just
Was
so.
it the George Hotel?
No, it was a handful.
Ah, sorry.
It was when they were doing the 70 sales, not these wee tiny 50 now. It was in April, and it was just bonkers good. Like a different level of Arnhem than I've ever tried. It was just oily and thick and juicy and magnificent. And I wish I'd got more of them.
I'm gonna co-sign that, George. I'm gonna co-sign that. George. I'm gonna go.
Who's
The
George?
cast strength's kicking in.
Is
I'll
there something you
co-sign
want to
that.
share with the groom?
I've co-signed.
I'm going to call George now, I think.
George is my other partner.
God, I hope your
How
wife's
dare
not
you.
listening.
I would say
George.
I
'Cause you're thinking
delivered.
George Hotel.
I delivered. Yeah, exactly. I delivered on the question because I had a drama this at the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and I then, thanks to DJ Ann Connell, was able to get a bottle of the Ardnamurk in, was it 6 year? Oloroso.
Good stuff.
Golden Promise.
Yeah, Golden Promise. But you're not learning. We can't use that footage, Gordon. Every time.
Hang on.
Every time you hold that
Sorry,
up.
there we go. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Got your secret name.
There we go. Aye. Just Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's who? He's what?
Confuse us now, Gordon.
Sorry.
Who's got this?
That Golden Promise 6 year was lights out. Rachel, if you've not had, did you try? Did you manage to get any at the? Oh,
I did not visit the Ardnamurk stall at all.
oh. Well, see, here's the funny thing. Most of the room are firm fanboys, so we've tried everything. It wasn't until I saw DJ and I got a whisper of this Golden Promise as a wee under the table, and I tried it, and it was stellar. Have you had any Golden Promise, Rachel?
Whiskies, I'm sure I have, but I don't think from Ardnamurk. I've had whiskies made from Golden Promise. Barley,
Well,
isn't it? A variety of barley.
Aye.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Not
sure.
Ardnamurk, unless Jen, can you tell me if I've had any of those?
I can't think.
No, I don't think
I feel like we
have.
will have, but I can't think what they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, putting it in a sherry for 6 years is probably not the best vehicle for it, but what it did create was magic.
I can send you
And
some if you want some. I've got the Good Spirits Co. bottle if you want some.
That's very nice of you. We can do a wee bottle sample.
Merry
I might have a
Christmas.
sample
Merry
of
Christmas.
that. I'll let you know. I
Merry
think we might have a
Christmas,
sample
Rachel.
of that. I think I've got one
Jen,
today.
don't admit that. Make him work. The very good Rachel. Merry Christmas. Roy, what was your choice? Oh, sorry. What was the bottle that you had? You
it was
sniffed?
so this has only just appeared because it was reviewed on Dramface recently, and our reviewer gave it a very, very positive. I think it was Fergus, wasn't it? Fergus.
Oh, here we go. Controversial time.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Right, 4.5-year-old whiskey.
Mm.
I had vaguely been aware of a distillery by the name of Whittaker's in England. They released their inaugural on the 1st of August this year. And nobody, it just didn't budge the needle, it seems like. Anyway, English Whiskey Festival, Fergus goes along, picks up has a wee try, thinks it's brilliant, takes it home and just decides to go and score a 9 out of 10, which that's big stuff, right? It's big stuff. And I was like, oh, aye, okay. So I threw my 75 quid towards it just out of pure curiosity. And I poured it today. It arrived a couple of days ago, so I've let it settle. And I've opened it and poured it today. This is Whittaker's first release. Wee rabbit on the label there.
What's that word just in front of whiskey? What's that word?
It's English whiskey. But like I always say to you, nothing guarantees good Scotch more than English whiskey, right? And the thing is that when we talk about whether it's the Bimbers or the White Peaks or the Circumstances or the things, we're not talking about the English whiskey that isn't that good. We tend to be talking about the English whiskey that is good. The best compliment I can pay to this wee glass is the one I had today, and I'm sipping it again tonight. It is very reminiscent of Dornoch. So you know that really dense, really fermentation forward. If you've ever stood in a fermentation room or walked into a fermentation room and you get all of those kind of ripe fruit type things, those bready notes, those dough things, it's full of that and it's thick and dense. And wouldn't you know it, this is made from Golden Promise. So it's a 75 quid bottle of Golden Promise liquid, which is very, very rare in these days. If somebody said, "Oh, I want to try Golden Promise liquid," what could it? You just can't recommend them anything. But why does Golden Promise command such a cost? Is it hard because it's heritage now? It's not been in common.
I think it's a poor yield, is it not? It's harder to get.
Okay.
Was it not
60s
Macallan used it for a bit, and that's when it kind of got its status?
Well, everyone did
Was it?
up until the 60s.
Did they not do a more recent one, and then that's why it's
Gordon's
Macallan
Googling right now. He's Googling that shit.
Macallan continued to use it, as did a few other producers. Glengoyne continued to use it for a long time, but it gradually became less and less used, and there were other much more attractive strains come along to supplant it. But Golden Promise was one of these kind of long celebrated things, and it wasn't just about flavour; it was about texture too. We hear, so there's, in my experience, having this wee dram here, I've never tried this whiskey without Golden Promise, of course. But the Ardnamurchan Golden Promise, one of their characters are that lovely, oily, thick, gloopy texture. There's a butteriness to it sometimes as well in the palate for me. So it's just, you can, and I don't care if it's just in my own head. That's sufficient for me, right? My own head is sufficient. I can taste a discernible difference when people focus on the barley like that.
And so good was said liquid. You've repeat bought after only the neck pour.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I haven't bought a second bottle yet, but I immediately want to, because I suspect that there's not going to be a lot of this around, and I feel like it's going to be one of those ones that's going to be front of shelf when anybody appears over the holidays. Oh, what have you got that's new? And I'll be letting them try this. I'll of course have to, because it's, English malt, I'll have to pour it all for them blind.
Yeah, of course.
to have them not kind of going, oh no, I don't, but I'll let them try it and see what they think about it first before I reveal the fact that it's
Did you
English.
say, is that their inaugural release?
It's their first release, Rachel.
Wow, and they've still got, and it's to December, and they've still got bottles sitting, and it's not all...
But isn't that a symptom of where we are in 2024, where there's just so much going on? So I think that what's needed to happen is for Fergus to trip up across that, him tell his pals, write a wee review in Dramface, I pick it up, and hopefully I'll encourage you. But by the way, £75 is not, it's not an inexpensive bottle, but £75 seems to be maybe the limit for an inaugural today. I think £75 seems to be permissible. Some people will try and charge a wee bit more, but it's their first bottling. It was 6 casks only, so it's not going to last for a long time. And the 6 casks were decanted into quarter casks for a finish before they rested it and released it. So I don't know how many bottles there are, sorry, but
what are all the casks? Sorry, the views. I know you said the decanted into
ex-bourbon.
All
ex-bourbon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
ex-bourbon. Even the quarter casks were ex-bourbon as well. So there's no fanning about with STR wine nonsense. It's just it's quite a pure thing, but it's quite sweet. It's quite a sweet whiskey. It's quite thick and oily and dense, as I say, but it's all about the fermentation. And the fruit here is all kind of quite overripe orchard, lots of sweet, oily citrus, that kind of thing.
Nice.
It's definitely one that's, and I bring it up because it's fresh in my mind. And if you're asking me, I can think back more than just a couple of weeks.
No,
I'm just trying to think back further than the past few weeks as well.
There
was one I was going to say.
No, go for it, Jen.
Thinking back to like this time last year, one that I wish I had bought, and it's only in my head because someone asked me if we could still get any more of it like last week, and it was a Lady of the Glen Turret that tasted like liqueur chocolates. I'd buy another one of those if I could get
one of those oddball outliers.
That's all I can think of this time last year or last week.
Yeah.
There's no in between for me.
No, that's good. Well, maybe we swing to the yang of that yin question. What are we looking forward to next year? What are we looking ahead to in the world or the year of whiskey ahead?
Teacher asks hard questions.
No, Jen, Rachel, what's ahead for you ladies next year?
Drinking.
Okay.
Snap.
I think we want to go to more festivals and try and just discover more stuff. Like maybe more good blends would be good.
Agree.
In order to explore festivals, you guys need to go as trade. or disguised now then.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go to the Glasgow Festival and only manage 4 drams, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad this year. Last year was more that, but not bad. It was nice. It's nice chatting to folks.
It's really
That's
nice.
Yeah, we end
nice
up
to do
staying
it.
chatting to people for ages, and that's why we don't have any drams. But that's
That's
maybe
nice to
also
do
a
it.
good thing because we are lightweights.
Well,
Totally.
maybe. Oh, well, I was about to suggest maybe you wangle a 2-session ticket because you only get to enjoy one,
One of
but
the
that could be messy.
Mm.
I
We were
remember. Sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say we were drinking tea at the Bon Accord. We stayed
Yeah.
at the Bon Accord till almost
Oh.
12 and drank tea the whole time. So
Oh.
it was done drinking. It was tapped out. Sorry, but on you go, Gregor. Sorry.
No. To be fair, I was going to go into Glasgow Whisky Festival territory, but I think we want to hold that back for another episode and reminisce on that. Maybe, but I did have one question that came up on the back of what you just mentioned, Roy, or one point, and I was going to float this to the bottle chasers, but I'll float it here.
I know. That's interesting.
Why is no one talking about Bimber in the last little while? I feel everybody was talking about Bimber.
Yeah.
There was that
there?
the controversy, was there not, with the ownership of it all that maybe swung people away from it, perhaps?
Yeah, what I only heard the start of that, and then I didn't hear
It was
anymore.
to do with some kind of corruption and I'm going to tap out now because I don't know. But Royal know. Royal definitely know.
Yeah, so
Gordon,
let's just
Google
call
that.
it. Let's
Google
call
that
it
shit.
I don't want to. I'll
the
get
controversy.
Russians.
the controversy of it. Can I suggest that that we disengaged from Bimber before all the controversy came out, and I think it was all to do with the fact that, despite being very young whiskey, it was delicious. But I think what happened is that they very, very quickly cut their cloth to a different fit, and they immediately went high end.
Auction fodder.
Yeah, and they immediately went to. So they did the London Underground series. So they're going to name an expression after every underground station, which just smacks of collectability. And I suspect that if you can sell it based on it's the new, King's Cross or whatever edition's going to come out, you're going to put a bit less effort into the liquid inside. That's the cynical side of my brain speaking there, but that's to a collector's market. And at that point, I just felt that, and I'm probably wrong, but for me, from my perspective, and probably a lot to do with the fact it was hard to get any at the time, I just stopped. I've got Bimber on hand. I've got Bimber here, but I've not been drinking or talking about or sharing Bimber for a long time now. But I think they're doing very well. I think they're still successful enough. Certainly successful enough to be building a distillery in Scotland on the back of it. So, it's just. But there's so much to talk about, Gregor. We don't have the bandwidth to cover it all.
Not enough hours in this podcast. With that, let's segue over to I Am a Distillery. Jen Rachel, it's been a minute since you've been on, and maybe for the listener that's happened across this podcast, I Am a Distillery is a game where we start from the most vague questions around a distillery all the way down to you should have got it by now. You've got only one shot to shoot, so you've got to choose wisely.
No, these two were sharks at this.
Well, they created their own game on this podcast. Do you remember the what was it? It was whiskey charades.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Which now that we're doing video, we never asked you if you know this is video, if you're okay with it. Did we? Did you ask?
You asked us anyway. I know. I've done my hair. I was aware that this was happening.
Me too.
Yeah, noticeable, Gordon. Noticeable.
Thank you.
Noticeable.
A bit of effort going on there.
Like a wee queef almost. It's a wee kind of.
I like the almost part. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
The head.
I miss the days when I used to say, I've done my hair.
So let's do this. Let's get through I Am a Distillery. Not that get through it suggests it's not enjoyable.
Wow, Gregor. Wow.
Sorry, I should rephrase that. All right, let's endure Roy's I Am a Distillery.
Accurate.
So one of the reasons I'm so jazzed about the fact that I'm hosting it is because I can't play this game because I really want to win it. I'm competitive, and it makes me a competitive arsehole. And nobody's ever celebrated me winning this thing, right? Whether I guess it on the 1st or the 10th or anywhere in
Second,
between,
usually.
it's murder, right? And it's just that I go to bed and I cry myself to sleep on my big soaking wet pillow. And so I said, right, well, the cure to this is I host it. And it's the first. This is the first one I've hosted in quite a while. And here I am. Well, let's get through. Let's endure this shite for this, man.
It's purely the Big Brother scenario, Roy. You will always be Big Brother to us.
Right, okay.
Therefore, we will always be taking opportunities to take a swing.
Right.
I'm a distillery. 10 questions. You've got one shot to shoot.
I am a distillery.
Ardnamurchan.
That's the first time that's ever happened. Has anyone ever tried it?
No. Too risky.
Well done, Gregor. Well done.
Rachel thought I got it right.
Oh, is it not right?
But I can dram now. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Plan, enjoy.
Even if he did, my poker face, I hope I'd be able to hold on to it. But
put your jacket over your head again.
I was founded by the ex-manager of Mortlack.
Okay.
Google's Alex.
The whiskey geekery in these two are high. You know that, right? Number 3. I was the first whiskey company to be given a Queen's Award.
Oh. Go, Rach, go.
Freud.
Don't go.
Oh dear. Poker face failed you there, pal.
Is it Freud?
Oh, no
I'll
way.
edit that out. I'll edit that.
You'll never know. You'll never know.
Don't. It's just don't. Shh. There's always wee banana skins in it the early days just to make you think it's something else.
Oh, I don't mind being. If I've got it wrong, I'll leave. It's fine.
Join me, Rachel. I'm just going to enjoy this.
I'm happy to sit and relax back. But is it a royal warrant you're referring to?
No, a Queen's Award for innovation. A Queen's Award for.
Look at that face. Amazing. Amazing.
Queen's Awards are no royal.
These
warrants,
royals
no.
have so many pishy awards.
I know.
What do they know about whiskey?
They make me not buy it.
I know.
What do they know
I
about
know.
whiskey? Anyway, sorry.
What do the royals drink? Here, wait, no. There's a question though, Rachel.
What do the royals drink? The poor's blood, I assume.
Whose blood?
The poor.
Poor.
Oh, I thought you said sorry, I heard it wrong.
Who?
Completely.
The blood of the impoverished. But that's
Oh,
only
right,
maybe
okay,
for a
sorry,
certain
I thought you
audience.
said
I'll
something
stop
else
with
there.
that.
I was with you, Gordon. I heard that. Moving on.
Yep.
All right. In my distillery, I run direct fired stills.
This is a 2-horse race now.
Mm-hmm. My original stills made whiskey once upon a time at Cardew Distillery.
Oh, see, I feel like I know all of these individual facts, but they're not linking together.
Don't connect. They don't add up.
I feel like I've talked about them all separately, but they're not.
X plus Y equals question mark.
Okay. Number 6, I have my own on-site cooperage.
Somebody go! Somebody go!
Holding. Number 7, there are more stills making malt whiskey in my distillery than anywhere else on the planet. There are more stills making malt whiskey in my distillery than anywhere else on the planet.
This is your moment. This is your moment, Gordon.
I want to, but I can't.
I want to say something as well, but I think it's probably. But
go for it.
Do it.
No, hold, Jen, because you're only up. Gregor's out.
What
Rachel,
he's saying
what?
is
I'm
you're
out as
up
well.
against a
I'm-
doofus.
Okay.
So just hang on.
No, he's not a doofus. He's a smart man, but I'm not sure he's got a clue what
Correct.
we're at here. So anyway, I shouldn't have a favourite.
Can you
Gordon,
repeat that
sorry.
last one
That's all right.
again? Sorry.
Yeah, what was it about?
More stills.
He's making this up as he goes.
He doesn't ken either.
Was that the last one? Number 7? There
Yeah,
are
more
more
stills.
stills making malt whiskey in my distillery than any other distillery in the world.
I want to say
See,
it,
I want
but
to
I'll
answer
be
that one, but I don't think it
embarrassed.
matches up with the others.
I'll be
Right,
embarrassed.
okay. Number 8.
Fortune favours the brave.
My bottle design was commissioned in 1956.
Oh,
That helps no one.
I know. Thanks very much.
It really does.
Hang on, we're up to number 9 now, aren't we?
No, that was number 8. Number 9 still to come. We've got 9 and 10 still to go. Number 9. My name means Valley of the Deer.
Dear,
That was the word that he said.
I heard it. I definitely heard
I
it.
might just go for it anyway. I don't think half the clues don't fit. But I might just go
Was that
for
your
it
guess?
for fun.
Go for it, Jen. Go.
Glenfiddich. See, I don't think that's right because half the clues don't match.
Right, Gordon,
think
it's
you're
down to
right.
you. You're
Gone
the
on
only
the
one
two
left.
clues.
I'm going to say something stupid here. Just you wait.
Right, go for it.
I'll wait
Last
for number
one,
9.
number 10.
Number 10.
Well, number 10 is I Am X.
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, that's number 11 this time. This is number 10.
Yes.
This podcast, we go to number 11.
Let's hear number 10. I've never seen it.
I first ran Spirit on Christmas Day in 1886.
No helpful at all.
I am...
Wait.
Jen,
I'm going to say Dalmore.
with the deer logo, that's a good shout.
Thanks
but we've
very
already
much.
had
That's
a deer
what I
logo
thought.
one, which is Jen. And also that the Royals gave that an award and it's Glenfiddich speaks volumes. Can I just say that one point and then I'll draw?
Yes.
One of you got it.
Oh my god.
The Merkin. Yes.
I am Glenfiddich.
Bummer.
Well
It was
done,
the more
Jen.
stills than anywhere else that got it.
Well
Yeah.
done.
15 of their 43 stills are direct fired.
40.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
That's bad
absolutely-
tour guiding as well because I've been there and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
43 stills is a lot of stills.
But
That's
I don't think
a lot of
the
juice.
tours are pointing towards Jen and Rachel, right?
Yeah.
I think that people would be like,
No,
direct
but I feel
fired.
like if they told us like their stills are direct fired and all that other stuff, I'd be more interested. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, well,
Missing
I
a
know I
market
would.
there.
I know I
Ah.
would.
Well, Jen, blessing and a curse. You've got to bring I Am a Distillery next week.
Yay! It's my favourite part. I love that. I love a quiz.
What you don't realise is you've actually, by Jen's admission that there is such a thing as vegan charcuterie, I think that is pretty much commitment to do the third tasting episode
I'm
in
game.
the new year.
Mm.
And maybe Roy and I figure that out.
I mean,
by
and
then.
we would be permitted to have whatever charcuterie we would normally.
Or
hoover
Yeah.
up, right?
could we not all go?
What's wrong with vegan stuff? Let's
charcuterie
do
just
that.
for the?
Well, that
for
would
the
be then
crack?
on your shoulders for us to kind of I mean, especially Gregor, where I suppose he can.
If
Everyone,
you give us enough notice,
Oh, I
we
can-
we
I
can
can find
suggest
it.
hunters of stuff.
right?
I can find that in the States. You guys can align in the UK and then I can find something, I'm sure. If anywhere you can do it, it's the States.
Aye.
All good.
Right.
Fantastic. Listeners, viewers, we really hope this was of value to you to pair along with. I appreciate that we went off piste for a little bit, but such is the modus operandi.
2 hours to edit.
Aye, no bother.
Sorry,
AI that
Roy.
shit. AI that shit, Roy. But rounding out this fun session, ladies, thank you for participating. Gordon, thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Roy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Listeners, viewers, we hope there was value here for you. Least of all, you had some cracking chocolate and some great drams. It's been a fantastic year creating for you all. We will be here next year for you for sure. May your new year be full of quality drams, health, and a prosperous year ahead.
Yeah.
You all.
Thanks to Gordon.
Let's do the 2024 version.
Stop that. Stop it. Stop it. What are you doing? Stop it.
We're loving it.